TCM.com/festival.
Hi, I'm Robert Osborne. If you've been with us on Mondays in prime time over the past 3 months, you know we've been bringing you the U.S. television premiere of the British documentary series, The Story of Film, An Odyssey. It's the vision and the work of the man sitting to my left, Mark Cousins. He created it, he wrote the series, he directed it, and he narrates it. Mark has been with me once a week since September 2nd, co-hosting each chapter. And tonight, with the 15th and final segment in the series, we head into the 21st century. Thanks, Mark, for being here to shepherd us.
My pleasure.
Through
Thank
this
you.
journey.
It's been
so
great.
Good to have you here.
Thank you.
Now, what do you see as the future of films?
I'm going to say I think something quite unusual in answer to that question. I think movie going is changing profoundly. We're watching films at home on our big TVs, etc. People watching on tiny. I mean, how stupid to watch Lawrence of Arabia on a telephone.
Yes.
Really stupid, but people do it nonetheless. However, I think the movies themselves, like deep down what they are, have hardly changed at all, actually. But what I mean by this is, right at the beginning, way back in 1895, you had Lumiere films, which were little portraits of reality, but you also had milieux, which were magic. And so at the beginning, movies were reality and magic all together. And when you look at the modern era, the films of the last 15 years, you have really loads of new documentary filmmakers like Michael Moore making Fahrenheit 9/11, etc. Loads of documentary. But then you have films like Mulholland Drive by David Lynch, pure dreamscapes. And the recent films that we've been seeing have got exactly the same tension between reality and dreams as the earliest movies did. So despite all the technology that we've been talking about over these weeks, despite all the social change that we've been talking about over these weeks, I think movies are still movies.
What do you think, going back from the beginning of film to the present time, what's the most significant change that's happened?
You could say that movies were always a window on the world, a sort of like when you look at a Fred and Ginger movie, there's a window on a fantasy world. If you look at the films of the 1940s and 1950s, there were windows on the world. But what I think that movies became over the years, not only a window, but like a mirror. They increasingly reflected ourselves back. They increasingly became more honest about human nature. Not everyone was beautiful anymore. Not everyone was Rita Hayworth. Not all lives were fantasy lives. So if you could say that they started like a window, but they became a mirror to show ourselves. And that, I think that's a really significant change. I think a very good change. I think that's called maturity. The art form is growing up. It's still young, but it's growing up.
I like the line Myrna Loy had in a movie when she said, everybody says movies should be more like real life. I think real life should be more like that.
I'm with you on that.
Now, let me ask you something, since I'm not going to be talking to you after the movie. What are you up to now? You finished this series in 2011,
yes,
right?
And I've made 3 or 4 films since then.
Right.
I'm one of the filmmakers who have benefited from this new technology that we've been talking about. I work with little cameras. I make 2 or 3 films a year. This year I made a sort of follow-up to The Story of Film, which is about children in cinema around the world. I made it in less than 2 months, and it went to the Cannes Film Festival, etc. So the fact that you can make movies so simply now means that I've been making lots.
Would you take on another project this big as The Story of Film?
It was a
6-year odyssey. Would you ever do that again?
Never, never. It was exhausting. Even carrying the tripod. I remember I had a bruise here on my hip for ages afterward. Just the physical effort of carrying all the equipment to make a film like this. So I think it's up to someone else now to make another big project. I want to make a little project.
And thank you for doing it.
My pleasure.
Yeah, and I'm so glad that we were able to premiere it here.
I'm thrilled.
And to have you come and talk about it. You're very knowledgeable, and it's been a great pleasure.
Plus, I got to meet you.
Thanks so much. And here we go, and it's U.S. television premiere, Chapter 15 of The Story of Film, Odyssey, subtitled 2000 Onwards, Film Moves Full Circle, and the Future of Movies by Mark Cousins.